Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined each and every day by Bobby Burton and Gary Hamilton. Guys, tell us where you're checking in from, what you're drinking, get your questions in. I actually wanted to start with this comment, though, this morning from Tyler. It says, good morning from I-20 in Harrison County, evacuated from Clearwater, Florida. So
Tyler Lorenz, safe travels to you today, man. That is not looking good. As someone that grew up on the Gulf Coast, hurricanes are not to be messed with, basically. So I'm glad you're actually evacuating and listening with what people are supposed to be doing right now down there.
Same here, because that storm surge is going to be, I don't even want to use the K word, but it's going to be close. It's a different scenario. But, man, that's going to be unbelievable.
All right. Well, it is obviously Texas OU week, guys, and we've seen some more line movement this time. Yesterday it was at 15.5. Remember, it opened at 14.5, but now it's at 15. So it went back down half a point.
There you go.
I don't know what to say about this stuff, guys. I mean, I really don't. The Longhorns, this is a rivalry game, and Texas very well could win big. But as we all know, throw the records out in this game. I want to add this. I did talk to someone. I was told, and I wrote this on Texas Football this morning. I was told that the team, the first two practices of the week, have been very crisp. They've executed, and the team seems very, very focused right now. That is all good news for the Longhorns, who are going to need to be able to execute cleanly on Saturday. Now, Oklahoma, that they try to mess things up. That's their defense's goal, is to kind of be disruptive and turn you over. So if Texas can actually play a clean game on offense, I do agree with that spread. If they can't, that's when things can get a little sticky, in my opinion. But I've heard, based on things that I've talked to people, that the first 2 days of practice really strong. I will add that it appears that there's no lingering issues with Quinn Ewers at this time from his injury, but that the trainers and coaches are monitoring him closely to make sure that remains the case.
I guess the big news will be this evening when the when the SEC availability report comes out, which should be right about the time y'all's live stream, correct?
Yeah, that should happen right about 7:10 Central Time. They're supposed to have it in by 7 p.m. Central Time, so 8 p.m. East Coast time is the drop time. That the last that's when you have to have your injury availability reports up, and they normally come up shortly after that. So we have a live stream tonight from 7:10 to about 8:20. It should come out in the first 10, 12 minutes of that as well. By the way, there was some other big news. Horn 7. I mean, actually, no. I mean, so that's pretty big news at this point.
Any more arrests in where? In Athens?
Yes.
That's pretty big. That's pretty big news at this point when somebody's not arrested.
Not in Athens, at least.
Yeah.
Hey, Jerry, you were out and about yesterday in the Metroplex for recruiting the young man Jaylen Lott, wide receiver, defensive back, that is the son of former Texas DB and NCAA high jump champ James Lott. His son is the guy that a lot of people knew, but you also ran into another player out there at Panther Creek, that high school that Texas has its eye on too. So why don't you give folks a little intel on what you found out yesterday?
Yeah, I think we have a little video of Jaylen Lott. Look, I think I've always thought Jaylen Lott's an elite prospect, very elite prospect. He's 5'11", 172, I guess is his exact weight, long arms for his height. He was at the Texas UL Monroe game. He will be at the Cotton Bowl Saturday, guest of OU, then a guest of Texas for the Georgia game. He also went out to USC, Wisconsin. Look, he plays wide out, he plays corner, and I think he can play either equally well at the next level. He's like the skill athlete version of Nick Townsend to me. I think he can do either one exceptionally well. I think he could be a tremendous receiver for Sark if that's where he ended up going in that offense, or he can play corner at the next level effectively as well, because he's got that turn and run ability. He's got a lot of football intelligence about him. They put a lot on his plate. I'll say that from watching a practice yesterday, whether that's just what you're seeing here in the red zone, defensively in the return game. So he does a tremendous job, just a natural playmaker with explosive ability. This summer, I think he recorded personal best in AAU summer track, a 24.3 long jump, 6'8" high jump. I don't think he's going to get his dad's 7'4" mark, but he did know about that mark, obviously. I think he's a tremendous prospect. And I think Texas, obviously, because of the family ties, that obviously his father's James Lott is in the Hall of Honor. His mom played basketball for Jody Conrad at Texas. There's so much working in Texas favor there. A little bit on his recruitment from a Texas perspective. Terry Joseph is the coach that's in contact with him the most. But on the visit to UL Monroe game and talking with Steve Sarkisian, Sark pretty much just told him, man, we just want you, and we'll figure it out. As you're just a junior, we'll figure this thing out. But we just want you. So look, we think Texas is in a pretty good spot for Lott, but the recruitment still has to play out. So that's the one thing I would say. But obviously, Texas is working from a pretty good position there. And again, he'll be in the Cotton Bowl Saturday, and then we'll be back in Austin for the Georgia-Texas game. But a teammate of his, Blake, I know you have that tweet you can pull up. This is why you make school visits right here. You knew Jaylen Lott was a really good player, but this is Donovan Webb, 2026 safety as well, like Jaylen Lott, that 2026 class. And he had some offers. Obviously, he had Arkansas. He was just up at Arkansas for the Tennessee game.
Wow.
Ole Miss recently offered him, Texas Tech. He's got four or five Power 5 offers. But the Power 4s are way behind on this guy. They'll catch up in December and January, but this kid will have 25, 30 offers. I'm calling him a 4-star prospect at On Texas Football after seeing him yesterday. He is a tremendous playmaker. He started at corner as a sophomore, had 4 interceptions. They moved him to safety this season. And I think he had a couple of punt returns for touchdowns last week, had a couple of interceptions in a game recently. He's a physical kid. He's got a strong build too, naturally. I mean, he's going to be a 5'11", 195, 200-pound guy. He's about 5'11", 178, 180 right now. But Texas knows about him. The entire Texas staff knows about him. He was at the Mississippi State game a couple of weeks ago, and then he's expected back for the Georgia game. But this is one that I think is going to be one of your faster rising juniors in the state of Texas. I think he's a big-time safety prospect and a guy that will have at least 25 offers, probably 30 offers come December, January when coaches get out and start seeing these guys. I think he's going to be a really, really talented prospect.
His parents are both K-State athletes, former K-State athletes. Panther Creek is a relatively new high school, right, Jerry?
Yeah, it's right by the new PGA of America offices. It's actually one of the coolest schools you'll ever see in areas. Because the PGA of America right there in Frisco, it's just phenomenal if you're a golf guy. If you haven't been up there, the driving range, everything you can do up there is pretty cool. But yeah, it's a new school. His father, Webb's father, is the girls basketball coach there, which they have a couple, 3 Division I players. He played baseball at K-State. The mom ran track at Kansas State. But yeah, that's the Panther Creek's one of those new schools. Only about 1,300 enrollment, one of the smallest schools in their classification. They're 5-1. Headed into their game on Thursday night. But they have 2 of the better skill prospects in the 2026 class in Texas. There is no doubt about it.
Hey, Jerry,
people ask me where my gooders are. I had them on at the beginning of the show. All right, keep going.
Hey, Jerry, I got to ask you this. So the sophomore film that I saw of Jaylen Lott, he immediately went to that category of elite for me, or potentially elite, like talking top 5 player in the state kind of discussion here. Or top 10, you know what I mean? Just depends on how good the year is. When you saw him yesterday, would you confirm that, or do you think he's still got a ways to go? Where do you think he sits? Like, is he a true big time difference maker type prospect in your opinion?
Oh yeah, I'm not sure both those guys weren't, honestly. But yeah, I think so with Jaylen Lott. I don't have any doubts. Just his length, his explosiveness. And I think he's kind of taken off physically right now a little bit. He's a plus wingspan kid as well. So it's not like you could look at him and see anything that people are going to, tear down from a combine perspective. Right. But yeah, no, I think so. Where he falls in the state, I think it's too early for me on that. But I did walk away thinking he's definitely going to be a top 100, 150 prospect in the country. Seeing where the dust settles around the country with all these kids, he's that level for sure. And I'm telling you, I think the safety's top 300 kid in the country.
Wow, Jerry, there is something that's going on right now that we need to immediately break in on. According to a report, the NCAA, this is breaking news. The NCAA Division I Council approved Wednesday to eliminate the National Letter of Intent program. I don't know what this means yet, but if they're going to eliminate it, what is going to stand in its place? Will there be a signing day at all? The NCAA is eliminating, apparently, the National Letter of Intent program. That's what they had approved to do at a Division I council Wednesday morning. That is crazy to me. What do you make of that, Jerry? Do we even know what to make of that?
Well, does that mean we're not going to have a signing day anymore? I mean, is there no more?
I don't know. Put that back up.
Because
put that back up, please, Blake.
Because to me, that means there's no longer signing periods. That means when you announce your deal, sign your NIL deal. I mean, I don't know what else to say. To me, it means signing. There's no more signing periods anymore. What is there if there's no national letter of intent?
I don't know. This is going to be a developing story. That's all there is to it. It's got to be a developing story. We're going to have to follow this the rest of the day. There's no doubt about it. Yesterday, the NCAA also acted and said that there would be 2 transfer windows that would go on this football season. At one point in time, we felt like there might only be one after the month of December or during the month of December. That is now going to be in the month of December into early January. And then they're also still going to have one after or in April, after spring football is over, probably for a lot of schools. So there will still be 2 transfer portal windows this coming week. This has been in the works for a while, according to Nicole Auerbach. The NIL program is going away, and there will be different processes, aid agreements for recruits to sign instead. What does that mean? Nothing stays the same. Change is afoot right now with the NCAA. I absolutely believe that these are probably things that are antiquated anyways, Jerry. So we've debated when they should be able to sign and when they shouldn't. I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer.
If here's my question. It's early. We'll see what else comes out of this. Obviously, you're still going to have your financial aid agreements, which are meaningless if you decide to change schools. Absolutely meaningless. Mm-hmm. But to me, what that means is, look, when a kid comes out in June 24th and says, "Hey, I've announced my decision. I'm committed to Texas," or whatever, is he now going to have signed his aid agreement there on the spot and a NIL contract, or what? Is that where we're headed, Bobby? And it's done?
I don't know.
That feels like
my take on it is that if you're going to let guys transfer within a year or within 3 months of being on one campus to another and still maintain eligibility, what does it all mean anyways from a letter of intent? And so maybe they're just being pragmatic. Something tells me it's not being pragmatic with the NCAA. It's most likely trying to shield themselves from lawsuits based on how they've acted for the last 10 years. But also on that, on the transfer portal news, Jerry, Christine Anderson says they cut the transfer window from 45 to 30 days. Here's what they did, though. You can enter the transfer portal for 30 days only. It doesn't say when you can actually transfer. So that only affects the days in which you can enter the transfer portal. So you have to make your decision within 30 days instead of 45. Yeah. And 90% of these guys are going to have made their decision before the day even comes. So I'm not so sure that was a red herring in my opinion, about that, cutting it from 45 to 30 days. Eliminating it to 30 makes it easier. Players will go do what they want to do. So they can still sign or go to another school 30 days after that first 30 days, right, or even 45 in some instances. So I'm not really worried about that.
No.
It's kind of one of those rules that just doesn't, they act like it means something, but it really doesn't.
Yeah. This is what this, the NIL, National Letter of Intent, that what just came down there is so interesting to me, Bobby, because, so if we get to a point where a kid visits school X and he just announces, some people are jokingly say it's his reveal, not his commitment now. If a player just announces, hey, I've signed with, I've signed an NIL contract with the University of Texas. I mean, to me, this feels like where we're headed. And that effectively ends these recruitments, period. Is that where we're headed, Bobby? I mean,
I really don't know.
But if you sign that's different from signing a national letter of intent. Then you get to the clearinghouse and see if they'll let you out. The school has to make a decision if they'll let you out. To me, if you sit there and you're signing an NIL contract and announcing, hey, I've signed my NIL, I mean, you're effectively shutting everything down.
Yeah. I don't know yet. We're gonna have to monitor that throughout the day, but I think it's important that we brought it up because that is breaking news. That's a seismic shift of sorts for the NCAA and what we've known forever since I've been covering college football is the National Letter of Intent. Brandon Huey says, "Who governs the NCAA? Who governs the NCAA is its membership institutions." So the member institutions actually are the ones that are expected to govern the NCAA. That doesn't necessarily work that way, though. They are a collective of a group of 300 plus schools, and that's part of the problem. In some instances, St. Francis of Pennsylvania has an equal vote to the University of Texas. And that's part of what they're trying to get away from and what the new NCAA president, Charlie Baker, has proposed. We'll see if that actually takes place and gets going at some level. All right, guys, each and every Wednesday we have Hump Day with Hills. Before we get to Tony, though, I want to say thank you to our sponsor, Adam Lowy of the Lowy Law Firm. If you've been injured in a car wreck, truck wreck, automobile accident of any kind, and think you might need representation, you're going to want to call or contact Adam Lowy at loweylawfirm.com. They've got more than 20 years experience in the business, helping people who've been injured in a car wreck, truck wreck, automobile accident of any kind. Visit loweylawfirm.com. Adam's a good guy and has been a very very helpful sponsor of On Texas Football and Coffee and Football for more than a year now. Thank you very much, Adam. Again, loweylawfirm.com. All right, let's bring in Tony the Tycoon, Tony Hills, Texas OU. I love that background, baby. That's the background we need right there.
Come on. Hey, listen. Everybody hold on. I'm on the opposite side. Everybody that's riding on this side right here, be prepared to celebrate this Saturday. I know Bobby don't like that. Bobby's I wear my same bloody sock every time I go play my softball game type of guy. Not this guy, man. I let the tape talk. Guys. Listen, I went back and watched OU Texas last year. I went back and watched OU and Auburn. And I'm going to tell you, I am excited. I am excited about this game. We can get into it. Y'all can ask me some questions, but I'm excited, brother. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Is there a specific reason why that you get a certain feel for this game like that, Tony? Because you've been in this before. I mean, what is it that gets you excited about Texas' opportunity in this game?
Usually when you see OU defenses are tight when it comes to pass coverage, and they have a good pass rush. What I watched with Auburn, right, is OU is very, very susceptible to the deep shot. Very susceptible to the deep shot. When you look at what Texas does, right, whether that's yours or that's Manning, obviously Manning, that's his thing. He's bombs over Baghdad, right? But when you look at what Ewers and Manning do, man, they're opportunistic, and Ewers throws to wide open receivers because of the offensive design that Sark has. Man, when I'm watching when I'm watching what Texas was defensively last year versus what we are this year, it's night and day, fellas. Right? First of all, I'm gonna give you the night. The night is Colin Simmons, right? That's the night. He's going to be on Mike, this quarterback all day long. What I need Texas to do is very simple. Play your brand of football, control your emotions. That is it. Penalty free. This has to be the game, right? Because Jerry, we talked about it from an offensive line standpoint where we were shooting ourselves in the foot a little bit. This has to be that game that Texas has been looking for these past 5 weeks. Mistake-free football. Don't beat yourself. Execute the game plan. If Texas does this, I really just don't see, and I get the emotion of the OU rivalry game, but I'm looking at it from a player perspective. I just don't believe OU has the players to keep up with what Texas can do and how explosive Texas is. Now, here's the other thing. We have to be able to run the football.
Yeah,
we have to. Auburn destroyed OU on the ground. Absolutely destroyed them. 15-yard runs, 20-yard runs, 12-yard runs, right? So we have to be able to run the football. But I'm getting a vibe on this game where this is one of those games, kind of like it reminds me of 05, right? When we were on our national championship run. And when you walked into this game, it was just a feeling that you knew, like, there is no way that these guys can play with us. And it showed. Big plays were happening, left and right. That's the if you go back and you watch the VY shoulder shake pump when he hits Billy Pittman on the side, that's the Ramont Taylor over the shoulder, right? Those are the plays that are happening in this type of game. And I just get that same type of feeling. Now, I will say this. OU is going to fight. We know that, right? They're going to fight, and there's going to be plays that's being made. Here's the game. I'm going to be watching when there are situational football time, meaning that it's 3rd and 1 and we got to have it, right? Or OU is 3rd and 3, right? And we need defense to get off the field, right? Those situational football type of times, 2 minutes left in the second half, and we have the ball and we're going to put points on the board. We got to execute on those things. But I believe that if we do that and we do that consistently, there's going to be a lot of people celebrating on this orange and white side come Saturday.
Hey, Tony, talk about if you're a Texas offensive lineman, this is your game. This is a moneymaker game, right?
Yes.
This is going to be a good front, big linebackers that Oklahoma has. Talk about I haven't put it all on the Texas offensive line, but I've said if they play similar level to Michigan, Oklahoma's in trouble because what you said, the receivers are going to be open. When Stark has time for the plays to develop.
Like here's the reality of this. This is what I love about this game. There's no bulletin board material needed, right? All Texas offensive line has to do is do what they've been doing and minimize the penalty. And when I say do what they've been doing, I know a lot of people are like, what does that mean, Tony? Explain that to us. Okay. When we run the football, we're driving guys. We're moving the line of scrimmage. I want people not to just look at the plays that's happening with the receivers and the running backs this game. I want you guys to pay attention to the line of scrimmage, the ugly plays, right? Double teams, the double team blocks that we're getting. Are we moving the guys off the line of scrimmage and getting to the linebacker level, right? Because if so, I'm telling you right now, before the running back is touched, that's 4 to 5 yards a pop. Here's how that works, Jerry. As we continue to lean on these guys quarter after quarter after quarter, the 3 and the 4 yard runs become 7 and 8. The 7 and 8 become 10 to 12. The 10 to 12 become explosive plays. We have to expand on the explosive plays by leaning on the offensive line in the run game. That will open up everything. And I know Sark's MO is usually to pass to get to the lead and then run on the backside. What I would like to see, honestly, to set the tone for this game is a reversal. I want you to put the game on your offensive line. I want you to put the game in the hands of Banks, in the hands of Williams, right? In the hands of Hudson, because he gets in as well. I want you to put in Majors, right? And DJ Campbell, right? I want you to put the game in the hands on these guys and say, if we're going to do what we believe we're going to do towards the end of the season, then it's going to start with you guys right now. I need you right now. And I promise you, if he does that, those guys are going to answer the bell. They're ready to go. They're ready to go. Because all they've heard is how we didn't play to our standard. We didn't play to our standard. Oh, you this, oh, you this, oh, you this. And it's like, I get it. I understand, right? But let's not forget, we are the number one team in the country. So now we get to go show you who we truly are. And that's what I'm excited about. So I'm praying, if Sark hears this, I need 30 to 35 rushing attempts this game. 20 of them need to be in the first half. Probably on the first series. Just run the ball like that. Like literally, violent, put this game in a phone booth. I want to see if OU's defensive line and OU's defense is ready to get punched in the face over and over and over and over and over again. I want to see that. I just don't know if they're built that way, and I know we are built that way. So let's play to our strengths, and let's make this game violent. Let's make this game physical, and then we'll see what happens in the end.
I'm ready to go punch a locker.
Yeah.
Oh my God! I love this week, man. I love this week.
You love it. Hey, talk about that. What is it that you've played in several of these? Obviously, what is it about this week that just gets your juices flowing, man?
You want to know what gets my juices flowing, Bobby? You want to know what gets my juices flowing? It's not about money, right? It's not about clout. It's not about the Instagram likes, right? It's about this. The pride and the winning tradition of Texas football shall not be bestowed upon the weak nor the timid. It's about pride, period and point blank. We run this side. Y'all can do whatever y'all want to do on that side. But as for me and my house, we run in this. And that's what it's always been about. That's what this game has always been about. That's why a lot of times you could look at Texas, and if Texas would have a slip up from time to time over the years prior to this game, all is forgiven at this game, right? Because at the end of the day, this is the game. If you watch it, and I don't know the statistics, Blake, I'm going to bring you in. You're the statistics guy. You can go find the statistics. But look at the trajectory of seasons that happen like after this game. What happens to the teams, right? And so it's just one of those things to where, as I'm a fan of it now, I'm no longer able to dictate the outcome of the game on the field, and I really hate that. There's something about getting older. I love being wise, but I don't get to punch people in the face like I used to, right? You can't do that out here. And there, I was celebrated for it. Out here, I'll go to jail. So I can't do that anymore. But it's just having like understanding like this is Texas football. This is what we are about. And it's not just about Texas football. This is what somebody told me. This is what a fan told me. And I can't believe it. I remember this. It must have been the emotion that I was feeling after the game when we beat them in my junior season. He said, the reason why this game is so important is it's because this brand of football is a representation of the people that live in this state.
Yep.
And so when you really take that in, I felt that one other time. That's when I played with the Pittsburgh Steelers. That town is everything Pittsburgh. Everything. It's bring your lunch pail, bring your hard hat. I'm clocking in. It's no excuses, no explanations, only results. I don't care how hard life is. I'm tougher than life. And it's like this game is the epitome of that. Who is the tougher team? Who is the tougher state? These kids are representing the state of Texas. Like when I wore that across my chest, I played for the name in the front just as hard as I played for the name in the back, right?
No doubt.
And that's what I see with these kids, man. So it's like, it's kind of like, just let the dogs loose. That's what you got to do. Sark, if you see this, let the dogs loose, man. Don't hold back nothing. I get it. We don't want to show too much. Show them everything because they still got to stop it.
Hey, Tony, you mentioned the run game and how Texas needs to let those the big guys eat, so to speak.
Yes.
What about the Sooner pass rush? That's something that they've been talking about in Norman as maybe their best group of pass rushers in a long time. What is Texas going to do to kind of negate that, or are they going to see if Kelvin Banks and Cam Williams can hold up in pass pro alone. What do you think Stark will have in store for them?
You guys had B-Rob on this show, right?
Yep.
All right. Listen, defensive linemen are only great at pass rush when you passing the ball 40, 50 times a game. When you're having to defend an entire field and you're having to defend 325 pounds on one side and 340 pounds on the other side and 350 pounds in the middle and 315 and 340, like when you're having to hold up and lean, there's something about those legs that just don't get off the ball like they did after that adrenaline wears out. Guys, this is how the game is going to go. The first half of the game, it's all adrenaline. Everybody's hyped. Everybody's rushed. Everybody talking noise. You ain't doing nothing today. I'm on you like white on rice, all of this type of stuff. But this is what happens. And I want the fans to understand. I'm giving you the intellectual insight of the guy that has done this. Here's where you watch. Forget first and second quarter. That's the pageantry. Watch the middle of the third going into the fourth. That's how you're going to know what's going to happen, because that's when football is played. See, when all of the adrenaline runs off, when all of the hype wears off, now we got to play football. And what you'll see is you'll start to see, when you start seeing hands on hips, when you start seeing guys argue with one another, when you start seeing guys not really run to the football on defense to make tackles, right? Those particular things, when you start seeing that, you know the tide is turning and the tide is leaning towards the more physical and more in shape team. I'm not particularly worried as I watched the Auburn game, right? And I watched Tennessee. Their pass rush, OU's defense, honestly, they don't scare me as it pertains to, oh, wow, we got to look out for this guy. They're very opportunistic. And so what I'm telling you, as somebody is looking at Texas offense, and what I've seen from Texas offense is, like Jerry talked about, give us the Michigan game, execution, everybody locked in, everybody focused, no penalties. Don't give them the opportunities and let your best game come out, and let's see what the end result is. In my mind, I believe that I truly know what the end result is. But let's just see what the end result is when that defense has to try to find a way to make opportunities that's not being given to them. Meaning what? We don't go and hit a 50-yard bomb, but then get a holding penalty that calls us back. Meaning what? We don't open up the Red Sea and let all the Israelites pass over dry land when it comes to our backs, but then get a block in the back somewhere, right? This is what I'm saying, man. Like, you got to seize the opportunities. You got to seize the opportunities. And opportunities are multiplied as they're seized. I wish that I could take that quote, but that was from the great and mighty Sun Tzu. Y'all go get that book, The Art of War. It's a good book. I hate them to
you mentioned Sun Tzu and the Israelites in one sentence.
Wait, Tony, we have a question from the chat.
Come on, chat.
Do you have a COVID year left? You got any snaps left Saturday in you?
For this game, we can make it happen. For this game, we can make it happen. We can do a big tight end. I don't want to take the shine from Banks. Do a big tight end, put me next to him, and let's just run the ball to the left side every day. You're gonna probably see me doing stuff like this way. Come this way.
I love it, Tony. Tony, thank you so much for your time. As always, we really appreciate you. This was a Hump Day with Hills. Tony, I'll see you on Saturday over at the tailgate. Before the game over at the Yingling tent. We'll have you out there and be with me and Jerry, talk a little Longhorn football. Hook 'em, Tony. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you, Tony.
Keep that energy up, baby.
Let's do
Keep it going. Guys. We need it all the way through to Saturday. That'll do it.
Who thought somebody could bring more energy than Doug Rice?
The Texas Exes guy. Yeah, no doubt, man.
Tony and Doug Rice together at an event is going to be crazy. Good.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, by the way, want to mention that for our friends at the DallasTexasXs.org. Make sure you check out DallasTexasXs.org. Okay, go there, and there's all kinds of different opportunities for you to get involved this weekend at various aspects of the Texas OU game. It starts Friday morning at a golf event. Jerry and I will be there. Then there's also a bash before the clash, as well as a pep rally on Friday night. And then they have the tailgate themselves, the Dallas, Texas Exes tailgate at the State Fair as well. You guys make sure you come out and check out what they have going on. Please do that.
And when you do that, make sure you're wearing your Gooders. Jerry Hamilton, tell them all about it.
It's a big read. Here we go. By the way, stick with us here. Got a couple of ads. Got to pay the bills. Got to pay for all these recruiting trips. But we're going to come back and talk OU, Texas, reset recruiting, talk about what Sark and Brent Venable, they have to release that injury report. But before we get back to that, look at those Gooders on the screen. They are sold out, but there are more being made. Why? Because Gooder is who you want. This is what you want to be wearing, man. Stylish Sunnies at starting at only $25 a pair. No slip, no bounce, all polarized, all fun. 1-year warranty, got to say it, don't need it. 30-day free returns, got to say it, don't need that either. They just have to put these in these ads. You have the Bolt G, you have the Bug G, you have the Astro G. The Bug G is my favorite. The aerodynamic wrapper, that's not what I'm wearing, but that's what I'd be wearing if I was cycling. Aerodynamic wraparound shades for the next level performance, and I need that. These buzzworthy active shades have a trendy oval-shaped lenses and come packaged with high-performance features and aerodynamic dual lens frames. All three frames, the Bolt G, Bug G, Astro G, have UV 400 polarized lenses. So if you want to support the show and try a pair, Gooder is giving On Texas football listeners free shipping. You can go to gooder.com/OnTexas and use code OnTexas, all caps, for free shipping. Gooder offers, again, a 30-day money-back guarantee. Throw that in the trash. And 100% satisfaction, which you'll tell all your friends about. Again, that's gooder.com/OnTexas. Use code OnTexas for free shipping. And I guarantee you this. I bet I see 200-300 pairs of Gooders in the Cotton Bowl Saturday.
At least. And then when you're done checking out Gooder, you should also check out HelloFresh, because with HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. You can skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. And it's simple, y'all. HelloFresh delivers all the pre-portioned ingredients you'll need to make homemade meals. All the proteins, all the veggies, the sauces, the spices, and everything else arrives in your box, along with easy instructions that walk you through each step in the cooking process. You can't mess it up. You'll have a great tasting meal in no time. You'll love it. Whoever you're cooking for will love it. You can't go wrong, and that's what I love about it. It's simple. It's quick. It saves time. Even my son Colt can do it. That's how easy it is. And the food comes out tasting great. And here's the best part. HelloFresh is going to hook y'all up with free food. You can get 10 free meals at HelloFresh.com/freeontexas. Those meals will be applied across 7 boxes. It's for new subscribers only, and it varies by plan. That's 10 free HelloFresh meals just by going to HelloFresh.com/freeontexas. And that's HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. All right. Well, we got super chats. We got a lot to talk about here. We're going to jump right into it. Justin Todd says, hook 'em from Elk City, Oklahoma. There's 2 things in this world that I hate, and OU is 3 of them.
That's a good one. Good one, Justin. Hopefully the Longhorns take care of business this week so you get bragging rights for at least a year here, buddy.
And then Sugar Daddy says, it's still hate week. Let's lock in, guys.
Locked in.
Tony got everybody locked in, ready to go.
We're locked in. I had to get to Dallas yesterday.
You're already in Dallas. That's how locked in Jerry is. Okay. You talk about going early.
Oh, man. And then going back to the availability report, guys, as Jerry, you said earlier, it will come out this evening. Obviously, Quinn is the big storyline there, but who else are we looking for on there?
The biggest one for me is what Oklahoma's injury report's going to look like, Bobby. Somebody's asking about DJ Pickett. By the way, I'll get back to the report in a second. Texas has tried on DJ Pickett, the safety corner committed to LSU out of Zephyr Hills. By the way, again, thoughts to everybody in that area of Florida coming up here in the next day. But there hadn't been much movement late, but Texas is still in contact with a lot of these kids. You got to get them on campus, though. But for me, it's the OU injury report. That's kind of the big one, Bobby. I think we know where Texas is at right now, and we'll see where Derek Williams is, if he's listed as probable or questionable for the game. But with Oklahoma, there's reports that Deion Burks is out. Is Brent Venables going to list him as out? what is that offensive line going to look like? Some of those guys who have been questionable, probable, are out. Is there any change with Gentry Williams? Most people have said Gentry Williams may be out for the year to cover Oklahoma. I don't know that. I'm not saying that. Where's he at on the injury report? Because he's their best corner, and he hadn't played in 3 weeks. And obviously, they're starting Cheetah Dolby's out. So my question is, where's Oklahoma at? Because we pretty much have a good feel for where Texas is at, but I think that's going to be a big question. Is where's Brent Venables listing some of his guys on this report?
Yeah, Deion Burks and Nick Anderson are the 2 receivers that really kind of worry you, right? Because they are future NFL players. They have other good receivers, including Jaquez Petaway, who can really run. Brennan Thompson, the former Longhorn, obviously can really run and be a threat down the field as well as in the screen short game because of his speed. But, I think that from a injury standpoint, it's mostly focused on those 2 top receivers as well as what is or isn't going to happen with some of the guys on defense that have been out. So we'll see, Jerry. I'm anxious like you are to see the first report, although it's not going to be – I bet that Deion Burks is listed as questionable or doubtful. I don't think he's going to be listed as out on Wednesday night. That would be very interesting. Derek Williams' injury, David Keith Williams' is a strained hamstring. I think he may have pulled it up on that long touchdown run by UTSA is when it happened, actually. All right, a couple other thoughts I have. We're also monitoring some news that broke this morning. If you're just now joining us, I know been a lot of people join us in the last half hour here. The NCAA has voted to eliminate effectively the national letter of intent. That means no common signing day like we've seen in years past. They are going to, it sounds like, replace it with something similar, but we don't know exactly what it means yet. And so we are monitoring that today. The NCAA announced that today. D1 Council approves transition of National Letter of Intent program into NCAA signing and recruiting rules effective immediately. Council decisions are not final until meeting concludes later today. You would think, Jerry, that if they're transitioning it into signing and recruiting rules separately, that what that means is we'll still have the same days, perhaps, just not governed by the National Letter of Intent program. But I'm sure we'll hear more of that. But that's a big move for the NCAA. That's been, I mean, I've dealt with the National Letter of Intent, I think, since the late 80s.
Right.
And that's a big piece of
Bobby, to me, my question is that will have to be answered, because there have been talk about a last week in July signing period, which there's not going to be signing periods anymore. I wonder if that's where we're ultimately headed with this. These kids make all these official visits. They sign their NIL contracts, and they're done.
I don't know that we can say that. I don't know that we can say yet that there won't be a signing period, Jerry, based on that news. If they're transitioning it into something else, maybe it's a similarly situated signing period, just governed more directly by the NCAA. I don't know. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Let's see what this actually means before we jump to any conclusions. But it's definitely a shift in how things have worked previously, because anything and everything was governed by that letter of intent, which bound you to that school. I wonder what the NCAA is going to do instead. I just don't know.
And by the way, Isaac Darden, if you're going to be at the game Saturday, we're going to be at the Yingling tent, and I'm going to be eating a corn dog with mayo on the pregame show. So if you want to do that with me, come on over, man. I need a friend in this battle.
It's not a battle.
Loss.
You win.
You're dying.
You win. I give up.
Oh, man. All right, guys, let's take a look at the weekend. Obviously, Texas, Oklahoma is going to be the biggest one for Texas fans. But around the SEC, some other games going on, including number 9, Ole Miss at number 13, LSU, I would say is the other big SEC matchup. But y'all's thoughts on this week's conference games?
Ole Miss at LSU is a big game because if LSU, they had an off week to prepare for Ole Miss. Ole Miss has played 2 in a row, Kentucky, and then at South Carolina. So if LSU wins that, they kind of fall into, okay, they're kind of a dark horse contender to get to the SEC championship. I don't think they will get there, but if they win that game, they're certainly going to have confidence, and they're going to feel like they can. That's Ole Miss's margin for error. This is the big thing for me, Bobby and Blake. Anybody who loses early in the season, your margin for error goes way down to get in the college football playoff. Ole Miss really can't afford to lose this game right here if you look at what's left on their schedule. Ole Miss is in a must-win situation at LSU Saturday because their margin for error when they lost to Kentucky went way, way down.
Yeah, they also have A&M coming up soon as well. My thing on this, Jerry, is a little bit different. I'm looking at the teams that Texas is going to play later this year. And really there are 4 here. Mississippi State goes to Georgia. The Texas, if you recall, the Texas line for Georgia or for Mississippi State was what, 33 or 35. So it's in that same neighborhood for Georgia. They're favored over Mississippi State. Florida goes to Tennessee. I'm pretty sure Tennessee's not the 8th best team in the country based on what I saw this past week. They just don't have the passing game that they've had in previous years. I don't know if that's because of they don't have the offensive line, but their offense is struggling and has struggled for 2 consecutive weeks against Oklahoma and Arkansas, who are not, necessarily elite defenses at this time. They may have some personnel that is, but Tennessee's still favored by 15.5. Obviously, Texas going to host Florida in a couple of weeks. But the way Tennessee's quarterback is playing right now, I don't see Tennessee rolling Florida by 15.5. I just don't. Maybe they win, but that's one that I might be all over if I was a true gambler. Vanderbilt in Kentucky. How about this line, Jerry? After beating Alabama at home, and it really didn't, I got to be honest, it did not feel like a fluke. I watched most of that game. It did not feel like a fluke to me. Now they go on the road and they're 14-point dogs to Kentucky, who hasn't exactly been lighting up a scoreboard. But I mean, that's a little odd to me. Those seem, but these guys in Vegas know more than me half the time, at least. So we'll see what all that means. But I'm surprised Kentucky's a 2-touchdown favorite, and Tennessee even more than that against Florida, who frankly, has looked okay this year at times. They haven't looked like a team that's going to get fired yet. Maybe against Miami they did, but no other time really. I mean, they got beat by A&M.
It'll be interesting with that game. That may be the game Tennessee can run the ball and doesn't have to put it as much on Nico. Because Florida's given up chunks on the ground this year, 310 to A&M, 240 to Mississippi State. That may be the game that Tennessee runs the ball enough. We'll see. I like Kentucky over Vanderbilt because that Vanderbilt win over Alabama is bad for them the next week when you go on the road because you have a full attention of Mark Stoops' team. I don't know. I don't know if Vanderbilt's going to be able to do the same things to Kentucky they did to Bama. I think Bama's proven to have some secondary issues there, and I think Kentucky's going to be very well prepared for that. Somebody asked in the chat, by the way, winner of Oregon, Ohio State, do they jump to 1? I think it's always dependent on, we talked about what does Texas look like as the number 1. What's Texas look like as the number 1 against Oklahoma? If they go win a neutral site game by 17 points, it's going to be hard for somebody to unseat them unless Ohio State goes to Eugene and beats Oregon 34-7 or something. So a lot of it's going to depend on how these teams look to the eye test. But if Texas goes in and covers the number against Oklahoma, Ohio State would have to do something pretty significant to jump Texas.
Okay. The chat trying to get me in trouble.
Always.
Tokyo Astro with the super chat says Bijan.
Thank you, Tokyo.
Appreciate that. And then Rizno or Ryanzo says next Friday I get to watch my daughter's boyfriend go against Jamie French. I'll be cheering for Jamie. Okay.
Wait. So I got to look up the Mandarin schedule and see where future son-in-law plays. Hold on.
I got to say this, as the father of a girl, high school boyfriends are the absolute worst. Let's just put that out there.
Okay, so that's Jacksonville. That's Fletcher High in Jacksonville. Okay.
And I want to say that every male knows what I mean. High school boyfriends are the worst. And you were one of them, most likely. Just saying that. Putting that out there.
Hey, by the way, after the Mandarin Fletcher game, Jamie French is scheduled to be in Austin for the Texas-Georgia game, by the way.
All right. Lowry with the super chat says, Jerry, did you see Brent Venables' 40-minute presser? That was a quick one.
I did not. I was on the road, but that must have meant the Oklahoma SIDs were like, dude, you can't go an hour every week. We gotta kind of take a little bit off this. This runway's a little too long right now.
And then Jeff Carey with the super chat. Jerry, how about a contract with an escape clause and or a buyout option, or seal the deal with a loving hug?
Man, I don't know. I don't know what to say to that one. That one's got me. Bobby's a hugger. Bobby's a hugger.
I am. I'm a hugger. Hey, Kevin Alexander, what is the weakest point of the OU defense, and how is Sark going to attack it? What will burnt vegetables perceive as a weakness and try to exploit? I think that the weak point of the OU defense may be in coverage downfield. Tony talked about that. Jerry's talked about that. What will Venables perceive as a weakness and try to exploit? I think it's going to be the interior of the Texas offensive line in pass protection. I think he knows that they'll still compete against Kelvin Banks as well as Cam Williams. I think they're going to try to beat Jake Majors, Cole Hudson, DJ Campbell, and Hayden Connor. They'll run stunts and blitzes and try to change up communication and challenge communication. That's where they will try to exploit a weakness, as well as maybe some of Sark's penchant to like to throw the ball on early downs. Venables knows that, and those are a couple of things that I think they'll try to do. But we'll see. We'll see if it's enough.
And let's see here. Adam wants to know, what's the tougher test for the offensive line, Michigan or OU?
Interior Michigan, edge is OU, Bobby, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And the other thing I would say, OU may be the tougher test overall because they're gonna throw some stuff at you haven't seen before. Michigan, they weren't super inventive or creative early in that game, in my opinion. They thought they were going to go out there and see if they could stick with Texas and then maybe switch things up in the second half. By that time, the game was out of hand. Oklahoma's going to switch things up from the very get-go in this game. They're not going to just play, lay back and take it. So I think the tougher test for Texas actually is Oklahoma because they'll throw more looks at Texas. It's a good question, Adam. Because physically, I think Michigan would be a little bit ahead of them, particularly on the interior, to Jerry's point. But mentally and what they plan to do, I think OU will be a more difficult test.
And then Roger G says, on Texas football, as bad as their offense is OU's offense going to be the best offense we have played so far?
Best off. I mean, that's a push between a bunch of bad offenses, but best quarterback. And I don't care if he's a freshman or not. It's still the best quarterback Texas has played this year. Texas has not played a high level, and I'm not saying Hawkins is a freshman. They haven't played a high level quarterback to this point this season. They've actually played quarterbacks that have now been benched, and they haven't played a high level offense either. An offense that can, as a run pass threat. Even if run's their strength, they have to have a run-pass threat and a legitimate one. Texas hasn't faced that. Now, that's not going to be Oklahoma offensively. Hawkins will be the best quarterback Texas has faced this year. But next week's the real test. But next week's the real test for the Texas defense. I'm not saying Oklahoma's not going to score some points, but next week's the first real test for Texas defense this year in terms of, all right, quarterback that's going to be a draft pick, running backs are going to be draft picks, offensive line that's going to be draft picks. They'll have some receivers. I don't know who's in and out of jail at this point on that team, but they'll have a couple of guys who could still run. But they actually have the ability to throw it and run it, and they have a tight end present. That's going to be the first offensive test for the Texas defense this year.
Okay, and next question comes from Suplexus, and he says, how bad would things have to go south for Sark to put Arch in the game, assuming Quinn starts?
I think you can assume Quinn will start, so that's a good point. Maybe 3 turnovers that are clearly Quinn's fault, whether that's fumble or interception. But that would be as bad gets. That would not look good. I was just CJ Vogel just posted something earlier today that the only path that he sees, and I agree with CJ on this, for OU to win this football game is 3 turnovers by Texas. That's why they're 14.5-point favorites. That's the only path. We'll see what that means. Should be interesting. But I don't expect things to go that dark for Arch, or excuse me, for Quinn.
And congratulations are in order for Glenn Keller. He says, adding another Longhorn to the fold before next season. Wife is pregnant with our first. Hook 'em.
Congratulations, Glenn.
Very cool. All right.
Hey, Kevin Farley's got a good question. I think Jeff Lebby's provided any info suggestions. That's actually a really good question, Bobby. I don't know if Oklahoma could pull off offensively what Mississippi State did.
They could revert to last year's offense if they wanted to, if Luttrell could call it.
Yeah, I just don't know offensive line wise. I mean, can you really do that in a week? That's my question there.
That's 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's my question. I mean, that would be kind of a total flip for those guys, and they haven't even come close to playing well in what they've been asked to do so far.
Well, and you can't do it. This would be Michael Hawkins' first time running that offense, as opposed to having a full year because he's a true freshman, right? So it's a little bit different. The one thing I would say is I don't think Jeff Lebby will be sharing anything with Oklahoma based on how he was his father-in-law was treated his father-in-law being Mark Briles was treated in Norman by the head coach and the athletic director. Just my guess.
Yeah.
I'm sure he still has friends on that staff. I don't think that he's going to be talking to OU about it.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, I think SD has a good one, Bobby. I agree with this. I don't think they would do anything.
Can you read that? Can you read that for us, Jerry?
Yeah. So SD, OU is going to run that QB and misdirect the hell out of Texas, and I think they could do that with the QB.
Yes,
that's what they're going to try to do more so than try to copy anything Lebby did. I think that's what they're going to do to Texas.
They're going to try to run the zone read.
Yeah, they're going to try to. They're going to try to get 3 or 4 yards a pop and get 6 first downs in a drive and half a quarter's gone. That's their best game plan against the Texas offense, in my opinion.
We'll see if they're able to do it. They haven't been consistent thus far this year. The only couple of drives they put together like that have been with Hawkins, though, at quarterback, where he's made some plays with his feet, particularly on third down.
And we have a super chat from C-Note. Thank you, C-Note. Morning, guys. On that all-22 team, does Texas start Ricky or Earl? And does OU start Adrian Peterson or Marcus Dupree?
Adrian Peterson all day.
Peterson over Dupree. I'd start Earl. Earl's the only one. Earl and Adrian Peterson are the two in that group that have been NFL MVPs. Ricky, as good as he was never NFL MVP. That's how good they were. That's my argument for Earl Campbell over Ricky Williams.
I actually thought about this driving around yesterday because it was such a fun discussion. The other thing would be, who's your coach? Because if it's Sark, he's probably going with Ricky. In your scheme. If your scheme. It depends on what your scheme is, right? In the passing game. But that's fun discussion.
If Earl played in a different time frame, he would have been able to catch the ball too, though. I mean, that's like they threw the ball 5 times a year to the tailback back then.
Yeah.
Okay, and then our next question, speaking of running backs, comes from Adam. And Adam wants to know, are you guys worried about Jaylen Blue's ball security this week?
I actually am, because I think the Oklahoma linebackers, we've been talking about the D-line, but I think their linebackers actually really good. Really big. So when they hit, they bring more thud to it, a natural thud. I mean, Stutzman's a big guy. Kip Lewis is big enough. He's filled out his frame. The Sam Miogo, the kid from Crandall, can really run at 230. They have some big linebackers, and their contact they're going to bring can separate from the football if you've had issues with that. So high and tight is a premium this week. And I would say this is, as a back, you can't be too greedy this week. You have to understand when to put 2 hands on the ball and fall forward, because those linebackers are going to hit with a little more oomph because they're bigger guys.
I want to say this real quick. Oklahoma has forced 8 fumbles this year and recovered all 8 of them. Okay, 5 interceptions on the year, 13 turnovers in 5 games. They're averaging more than 2 turnovers a game producing. So, yes, I'm worried about Jaylen Blue's ball security. I'm really worried about Quinn Ewer's ball security in the pocket. That's because that could be a big play. That's, a fumble and return for a touchdown type thing where you have a lot of guys back there. I don't know what to say, but yes, I'm concerned about ball security, period, not just by Jaylen Blue, but the entire team in this game. Because I do think that's the singular, or one of the maybe singular path to victory for the Sooners is turnovers from Texas.
Definitely. Before we get to our last couple of questions here, Bobby, can you let everyone know about Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm?
Yeah, absolutely. If you've been injured in a car wreck, truck wreck, automobile accident of any kind, including motorcycle or ATV, give Adam and his group a call if you think you might be due compensation. Reach out to them at loweylawfirm.com. They have a no strings attached policy where all you got to do is call, and they'll let you know whether or not they think you might be due some compensation. Again, loweylawfirm.com. Thank you to Adam and his firm for their sponsorship of On Texas Football and Coffee and Football.
Hey, Blake, we have a lot of people that are in here now that weren't at the beginning. Let's reset the Jaylen lock. I don't know if you can pull that video up again. Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, you're good. I got it.
I made a couple stops yesterday. One I'm not going to talk about here, but one we will talk about is Jaylen Lott, the top 100 prospect junior in the country, the son of James Lott. I was out at Panther Creek yesterday for practice. They actually have another 2026 kid, a safety, named Donovan Webb, who is on Texas radar, and I actually think may be an offer guy for Texas, OU, A&M, and all those schools as they see more of him this year. But here's a little look at Jaylen Lott. Smooth, acceleration. He just got it all as an athlete. Long arms. Look, the elbows are at his waist. That's a plus arms wingspan guy. His height at 5'11", 172. Personal records of 24.3, long jump, 6'8", high jump this summer in AAU track. We'll be at the Texas OU game as a guest of Oklahoma, because that's how you go to that game. Then we'll be at the Texas-Georgia game in 2 weeks. Was at the Texas UL Monroe game. Also went out to USC for a visit. Everybody is recruiting him, and he is one of the top juniors in the country. And then they have a safety, Donovan Webb, who Coach Surratt, and not distantly related to Coach Surratt at Carthage, but Coach Surratt, the coach at Panther Creek, he had told me about Donovan Webb back in the spring when I stopped by, and this was my first time seeing him in person yesterday. The 2026 safety is, I think he's a 4-star guy. I'm going to start calling him a 4-star guy. The others will catch up in the industry on that one. Just a tremendous playmaker at the safety position. So Panther Creek has 2 guys. Webb was at the Texas-Mississippi State game. He'll be back for the Georgia game as well.
Good stuff. We got a couple of super chats to close out with, fellas. This first one here from Andrew Homer. Thank you, Andrew. He says, on Texas football, thanks for all that you guys do. I just got tickets to our first ever Red River shootout. I'm going to surprise my dad with the tickets Friday. Hook 'em, dudes.
That's awesome, dude. Congratulations. I hope you enjoy it. It is a one of a kind experience in sports, in my opinion. It really is. Especially, and if you're a Texas fan, it's amplified by 10. It's just so different.
By the way, before that last super chat, Glenn Davis, yeah, that was my bad on that. Panther Creek is one of the new schools up in Frisco. It sits right next to the PGA of America up there in Frisco off PGA. I don't know if it's PGA Boulevard or whatever it is there. Jack Burton asked about Max Wright out of Melissa, the 2026 offensive tackle. Texas definitely keeping tabs on him. They offered him, and he's one of those guys they're evaluating in that junior class on the offensive line. It's a really good group in the state of Texas.
Okay, then our last super chat for today comes from Kyle. And thank you, Kyle. He says, I think Sark will do the same thing to the OU linebackers that he did to the Michigan defensive line. Run them sideline to sideline, and when they get tired, run right at them.
Agree.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll work as well, is the issue, right? Because linebackers tend to be in better shape than defensive linemen, at least hopefully, at some level. I don't know. I'm interested to see what Sark's blueprint is today, or game plan is for Saturday, because OU is going to sit on those little quick routes to the outside and going to be prepared for them. They were last year. The first play was a 2-yard loss. Then Quinn threw an interception. They're going to be ready for Sark's typical game plan. And so my question for Sark is, what's your counter to that out of the gate this year? I'm interested to see what he exactly tries to do to start this game off.
And we had just a couple more come in, so we're going to read those. Naaman Roberts, hey guys, and thank you, Naaman. Hey guys, we definitely have our Travis Hunter coming. Jonah Williams does everything very well.
Really good football player. I don't want to put that on Jonah. Travis Hunter is extremely special. But I think Jonah is going to be a tremendous safety that he can factor in the return game a little bit. By the way, update on him from last Friday being at the game. We talked about it earlier in the week. The plan for him right now, and we'll see if that changes. Again, this is October 9th. A long way to go until even January when he gets to Austin, is to play baseball in the spring at Texas and kind of be around the team meetings in football, learning the defense from Blake Gideon, sitting in on those team meetings. So right now his plan is to only play baseball in the spring and really start football then in pads at Texas in August. So we'll see if that changes. But right now, that's the plan. Go in and play baseball in the spring, get acclimated to college, sit in on those DB safety meetings with Blake Gideon, and really start to dial in and learn that defense.
And then our last one from Victor. Thank you, Victor. Who's your offensive and defensive MVP for Texas to win?
Quinn Ewers. And I'm going to say Vernon Broughton. I need somebody from the Texans interior to create a pass rush, yet stay disciplined in their lanes. Not give a bunch of space to Michael Hawkins to kind of squirt out of the pocket and become a real threat in the run game. They've got to play disciplined in this pass rush. No running by the quarterback blindly.
I'm going to go Quinn, and I'm going to go Barron Sorrell, because Colin Simmons is going to get a lot of attention. He's going to start getting a lot of attention.
That's fair.
Opponents.
I think that's fair.
All right. Well, Bobby, what do you have later today right here on Texas football?
We got a bunch of stuff coming up. We got State of the Program, myself and Jerry, as well as CJ Vogel will be doing that. We also have our live stream tonight on TexasFootball.com. We've got a number of different articles coming out talking about recruiting as well as the team prior to OU. Make sure you visit us at OnTexasFootball.com. Get a subscription, $39.95 when you use the promo code OTFOG. And then other than that, we are on the road beginning tomorrow. I'm headed to Dallas tomorrow night. We will be there in Big D at the Texas X's organization's golf tournament starting on Friday morning, then at the Bash with the Clash, as well as the pep rally on Friday night. Look forward to seeing everybody there. But a lot of stuff between now and then. Remember this, the injury reports come out tonight around 7 o'clock. We will be on the live stream at that time. So we'll make sure we're going to be discussing those as well as anything else that happens throughout the day. Also, Glenn Davis is right. Pray for our friends in Florida. That looks like a monster hurricane, man.
Yeah, the storm surge on the West Coast is going to be record setting in the state of Florida for sure. Guys, there's guys committed. Myron Charles in Port Charlotte. They're in the crosshairs of this storm surge on this track. That eastern side of the storm surge. Javion Hilson over in the Space Coast, obviously. We'll have to talk about, hopefully first thing is everybody's okay. Second, we'll have to talk about next week how that may impact those guys getting to the Georgia game next weekend and how that could impact some recruiting for Texas trying to get kids the game, that Texas-Georgia game next week, because it could – Diabell in Plantation, they should be fine. It's still going to get – and there's another system that they're talking about coming, but you never know. That's fantasy land right now. But, we just got to pray for everybody in Florida. I have a lot of friends down there, and there's some Texas recruits that you guys stay safe, man.
We will be back same time, same place tomorrow. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Head on over to ontexasfootball.com. Become an OTF OG using promo code OTF OG. And then also don't forget to hit up that On Texas Football shop, store, whatever you want to call it. We got hats, we got mugs, shop.ontexasfootball.com. Make yourself look good, just like our own Jerry Hamilton there. And we will see you guys tomorrow. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you there.
UT boy,